international football is finally done and dusted. Congratulations to Argentina on behalf of the entire Soccer Betting News team. We now admit, as a group, as a unit, that Lionel Messi is the greatest footballer of all time. Josh, congratulations to Argentina.
Yeah, definitely. It was an impressive performance from them in that final. Not that they didn't fight some adversity, but I see you still shamelessly rocking the Brazil kit.
I mean, we've got some Brazilians, and it's Premier League football that's back in action. And our biggest Brazilian, of course, you've got the other jersey that represents the team he plays for, Gabriel Jesus. He's up injured, and I've got the one he got injured in. Actually, it was this this color, specific kit. But yeah, Premier League football returns, like I mentioned. Arsenal spearheading the top of the Premier League table by 5 points. Of course, they do have that game in hand against the teams below third place, and below. So Manchester City, hot on the heels. How will the second half of the season unfold?
Look, it's a difficult one. I mean, there's still a lot of games to go. And like you just mentioned, that game in hand for Arsenal and for Manchester City.
It's against each other.
It's against each other. So it's going to be exciting. Boxing Day, we get to heat up those Christmas Day meals to those of you that celebrate Christmas. And then head straight into the action. Arsenal, they currently lead the table. And they've been playing impressively, but losing, like we just mentioned, Gabriel Jesus. It's a difficult one to swallow for fans, for the team, for the managers, or everyone involved, because he seemed to bring that lifeblood in the front line. We've tried it with the Aubameyang, we tried it with Lacazette, it didn't seem to work, but somehow that front four seems to be gelling so well. But Arsenal didn't give a hail-in boy, Eddie Nketiah, that number 14 jersey for no reason. I've watched him in the friendlies, and I think he's got a little bit of that Gabriel Jesus grit in him. I've seen him drop deep. I've seen him back into players. I've seen him drive at players a bit more often than he used to. So I don't feel that he has the longevity for the rest of the season to maintain that. But I think in a short stint, he could still do a world of good for Arsenal. And mentioning Manchester City as well, you can't write them off. You can't not look over your shoulder every given weekend or every given fixture. But they seem to have one eye on the UCL. I know Pep wants that. I know the team wants that. I know the ownership want that. But you still can't write them off.
You mentioned Arsenal's injury crisis up top. Of course, Eddie Nketiah could slot in, but with the January transfer window just opening in a couple of days now, what do Arsenal do? They have been linked with a couple of wingers, but I suppose that doesn't solve the goal-scoring crisis that Gabriel Jesus would, that hole that he would fill.
I think the fate is in Eddie Nketiah. I think we've been shown that we can trust the board and we can trust the management to make the right decisions this season.
Is this what you would do, or is this what you think the club would do?
I think the club needs to bring in another striker. Bring in a winger could offer a bit more rest time for the others, but that focal point in the front, it needs to be quality. We brought in quality, and that's no knock on Eddie Nketiah. He's still young. He's still got a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to learn, and he's shown in just a short period that he can do that. But for the immediate opportunity of possibly taking the Premier League title for the first time in over 20 years, I think bringing in another quality striker will be of utmost importance for Arsenal.
Well, with the Premier League returning, it gives fans like us the opportunity to see the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool still struggling. How will they kick on in the second half of their season?
Look, Liverpool finally seem to get a couple of players back. They seem to get in a bit of their stride. And then they take another lock like Luis Diaz, totally missing out on the next set of the season.
And 3 months for him.
Yeah, that's difficult for Klopp. I mean, it's just a kick in the teeth, to be honest. But they do have good dentists that side. So they seem to be looking at a couple of good players. And obviously one of the biggest names in world football right now, Jude Bellingham. They seem to be the front runners. I just read something this morning saying that they have somewhat agreed personal terms with him. So that will be a big boost for their midfield. I mean, they haven't bought a midfield in, I think, 5 seasons or so. It's been some time for them. On the other hand, Chelsea, Reece James is back in training. He just played an hour in friendlies. So I think that Reece James is a good option for them, or the best player rather at this very given time.
Wesley Fofana, is he back? Have you heard anything about him?
Not as yet. I haven't seen anything, but
because last I checked, he should be coming back soon as well. So there's stability to that back.
There's a bit of stability, the most important part of football, in my opinion, and then you build going forward. But as an Arsenal fan, we just like to see them suffer a little bit like we did.
Yeah, one team we do have to give a mention to is Manchester United of now. They seem like they're front runners for their top 4 spots. a huge upward trajectory that they've been taking before the FIFA World Cup. But now, life without Cristiano Ronaldo begins.
Yeah, I mean, one of the massive talking points heading into the World Cup at the end of the last break, he gave us football fans something to talk about for a little bit before the World Cup kicked off. But I think for Erik ten Hag, it's a weight off his shoulders. I think the team can finally move forward. Not that it's a knock on Ronaldo. I mean, he could come into any team and score goals, even at this almost a tender age, rather ripe old age. I think any team he comes into, he brings some goals. But for the project going forward, I think it's a good mark point for Manchester United to say, okay, now it's time to push on. I mean, at the time of when Ronaldo put out his last interview with Piers Morgan, Garnacho scored a beautiful goal against Fulham to earn them some points. So I think there is some young blood in the squad that can finally also grow with all of the older team as well. I mean, they even have a World Cup, two World Cup winning centre backs now.
Wow, that's incredible. What a partnership they've built at Manchester United. The last question on Man United is, we've touched on Eden Nketiah. Is it the time now for him to lead Arsenal? Anthony Martial, with Cristiano Ronaldo leaving, Anthony Martial has been, he's had a top six every spell at Manchester United. Is now Tony time? I
don't know. I think that golden ball that he won? Or young player, one of the biggest names to hit the stage.
There's a benefit clause in his contract.
Yes, in his contract. At one of the biggest names that was supposed to hit the scene as maybe like your Bukayo Saka's or your Mason Mounts at Chelsea, or those young players that were coming out now, he was that player. And I think he hasn't had the best of spells, and I don't think that it's his time. I mean, he even had a loan opportunity out down in Sevilla, I think the end of last season. And it didn't go that great for him. I mean, that was supposedly the time for him to shine again. So every moment or opportunity, he doesn't seem to take it. So I'd rather give the faith to the youth that is coming through Manchester United, like your Garnachos.
Well, I'm excited for the Premier League. It seems like you are super in depth for all the teams that we did mention. Something tells me you've got a double for us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just being the excitement of football, I think I've still got a bit of a hangover from the World Cup. So I haven't. Yes, I've been following everything, but I don't have that anticipation for it. I mean, maybe once it comes in and the ball gets rolling, those juices will start flowing again.
You are the only Arsenal supporter that I know that's not
excited for Premier League.
Yeah, for that
but yeah, I think there is a big double. Fourth place, Tottenham, taking on Brentford at home. Some good value in that one. So I'd put Tottenham and Crystal Palace. They play at home. Tottenham to win and Crystal Palace. I think it comes out at 3-1. I think that's my play this weekend to start the Premier League off.
No offense, Josh. I won't be getting involved in that. I think Brentford are full value for their win. A couple of players that didn't go to the World Cup that should have, like Ivan Toney, and of course Tottenham. They're going to be missing a few key players. Richarlison got injured in this Brazil kit as well.
I hope you walk out of here safely.
Hopefully I don't get injured. But I just won't be having Tottenham on Boxing Day. But that's just my views. Maybe there's some Hollywood Bets bias that I'm showing right now. But it's going to be an exciting return to Premier League football. I'm excited. Josh?
Not so much.
Until next week then. Cheers. For more soccer betting tips and previews, get the latest copy of Soccer Betting News for only 10 Rand at your nearest Hollywood Bets branch or news agent.